Live from EchoPark Speedway, it is once again time to return to Thursday night racing action. Welcome to Hampton, Georgia, and to the NuWest Contractors 170. My name is Little Ramble alongside Brad Daniels. We are bringing you all of racing action here this afternoon from the EchoPark Speedway and round number 2 of the Highline Diecast Collectibles Speed Cup Series. Brad, we come off of what was an absolute barn burner just 1 week ago at Daytona, and we are getting set to do it all over again at a track that's 1 mile shorter.
It's 1 mile shorter, but still, nonetheless, it's as much action, if not more. We might see a lot more calamity with a little rougher of a surface, and at the same time, the second round of the season here tonight, I think a lot of drivers are going to use what they used at Daytona and see if they can expend on that and try to get their way towards the front here at Atlanta.
We are, of course, going to jump over to the schedule once again to give you guys a view on what's all coming up here over the next little while. This is, of course, the NuWest Contractors 170. 2 super speedway races effectively to kick off the season. And then we slow things on down for the first road course of the season for the AEW Road Wrestling 115 next week. That's Circuit of the Americas. And then, of course, the month of March kicked off by the Phoenix Raceway. That mid-season tournament with the bracket challenge looming, though, only a few weeks away, and drivers do not have a lot of time to get themselves up to grips with the rest of their competitors before we hit that 2026 HLD CSCS bracket challenge. Brad, of course, as we take a look at everything that's going on here this afternoon, the EchoPark Speedway going to prove to be a unique challenge to drivers all across the grid. One notable absent name, though, Nate Cotilla, not joining us here this afternoon on vacation, and I think deservedly so after taking his maiden Speed Cup Series win just 1 week ago. But it is brisk out there right now at EchoPark Speedway.
Absolutely. Even for the drivers here tonight, it might feel like a vacation with it feeling pretty much near room temperature here with 71 degrees and 78 on track. All that being said and done, nothing too crazy for the drivers to worry about tonight. But at the same time, when you come to Atlanta, tire wear does kick in a little bit more than Daytona, along with a lot more of headaches than you might have to consider. So, when it all said and done, a lot of these drivers might be looking to try and maybe start their season off right like Nate did and get that win here tonight.
Well, the field going to be in with a good shot here this afternoon. So what we're going to do, we're going to take ourselves a quick thank you to the folks that keep the lights on here for the Speed Cup Series. Tonight's race is brought to you by NuWest Contractors, located in New Westminster, British Columbia, and serving the Lower Mainland since 1981. They are able to provide their clients with a high-quality product in a short lead time, performing all aspects of civil work, excavating, trenching, demolition, and concrete. Reach them today at NuWestContracting.com. And as well as that, this season is brought to you by Highline Diecast Collectibles, your go-to source for high-quality NASCAR diecast and memorabilia. Whether you're hunting for the latest releases, rare finds, or looking to sell your own collection, they've got you covered. Plus, don't miss their live auctions every week on Facebook and whatnot, where you can score incredible deals on must-have collectibles and place your pre-order on NASCAR's latest diecast at HighlineDiecast.com, where passion for racing meets collectible perfection. As well as that, this race brought to you by Twisted Steel Steak Appeal. Twisted Steel Steak Appeal by Marty Blute is a solid punch of sweet and heat flavor that lingers to let you know it's there. Marty Blute is an award-winning Steak Cook-Off Association chef and has finally revealed his secret wrestling rub to blow you away with flavor. Steak veggies, fish, pork, and poultry. Twisted Steel Steak Appeal is a rub above the rest. More folks, of course, helping out the Speed Cup Series, and we will talk about them later on here this afternoon. Meanwhile, only 40 seconds to go before we took things over to the race session here. Brad, what would your keys to victory be here this afternoon? Because it's a track that, while the racing style might not be too unfamiliar to Daytona, what works at Daytona, not going to work here.
Yeah, I think some keys to success is definitely think about who's around you. Last week you got a little bit of experience with some of the rookies, but a lot of the long-time runners here in the Speed Cup Series can maybe help each other out, make their way around Atlanta, and at the same time, you got to start thinking about some of the, the physics around this car, a little bit of the aero push along with, just the difficulties that come with Atlanta, trying to minimize as little mistakes as you can. And I think the last one, and most importantly, is going to be getting onto pit road safely and in the right manner. And we'll get to that later on how that changes comparative to the real life event. But I think if you can get all 3 of those set up and done in the right fashion, you'll have a good shot at winning here tonight.
Oh, we most certainly will, and all of that will bring us to the end of the warm-up session here this afternoon. So it's time to see who's going to start where with a 34-car grid main event coming on up here at the EchoPark Speedway. Starting on pole position, it is going to be Peyton Tulloch, the rookie, putting the Pokemon number 17 Camaro on pole position. The aftermarket coffee Camry of Cosmo 9 Osher starts alongside him on the front row. Row 2, it's Justin Mello. He is alongside Ryan Newman, with row 3 brought up by Colton Lee Easterday and Garrett Austin. Row 4 on the field, Matt Montembeau, still within 600th of a second is Nicholas Coate, and the top 10 closed out by Charles Thomas Simmer and Ethan Amberg, all within a 10th of a second of pole.
In 11, it's Munatsi Major, and at 82 to his outside, Ronnie Norman. In row 7, currently sitting in 13th position, it's going to be Josiah Vincent in the 4. Grant Applegate lines up to his outside in the 57. And 15th, Jordan Fisher in the 35. Scott Leonard lines upside of the 35 there in the 19. Stan Hausman in the 39. And Jeremiah Vincent in the 8 in row 9. And rounding out your top 20, it's Martin Plute and Adam Kulikowski.
Back at 21st, Jeffrey Reed Jr. along with Philip Scott. From there down the field, it's Mark McFadden, Zachary Cox, Darius Days, Terrell Wheeler, Corey Hutchinson, Stacy Hunter, David Farella, Joey Barrett, Caleb Bass, Sean Hughes, Jason Shue, and Tim Branson close out a 34-car field here this afternoon. A few drivers at the back, not putting down qualifying laps, no surprise there. You got your eyes on anybody to potentially go out and win this race?
I think you got to really consider Ethan Amberg, and also I think Munatsi Major. Those two have run similar in the past here in Atlanta, and I think that can lead to success here later on tonight.
And so we're going to make our way towards the front straightaway this time by, and as always, we are happy that you are joining us for more racing action here on this absolutely phenomenal Thursday night. It is round number 2 of the Speed Cup Series set to kick off in earnest here this afternoon. And it will be rookie Peyton Tulloch who will lead this field to green. Going to enter the EchoPark restart zone here in Hampton, Georgia. Time once again to get the party started as they enter the restart zone. It's go, go, go in Georgia! Firing down into turn numbers 3 and 4. It's going to be Cosmo Inosha who will look to lead lap number 1 to green. Already looking for 3 wide though as they make the run into turn number 1.
We got a mile less than last week and about 10 more laps, but nonetheless, a lot of these drivers still trying to push the limit at the early part of this race, and still up at front, Peyton Tulloch is heading that inside line where a lot of people dove down in. I think we'll see that inside line be the safe option as you see the 15 and Ryan Newman pushing up there, coming through 3 and 4 now, and Justin Malello is now going to be, actually that is the 34 of Garrett Austin that's going to be helming that outside line as he jumps now to the bottom line. It's starting to be a little bit of an exodus from that outside line for a lot of these drivers.
Yeah, outside lane doesn't have as much momentum on it as we saw back at Daytona, but that's not going to stop these drivers from giving it what for and everything they got here this afternoon. 2 by 2, no room for 3 for more than a couple seconds here at the EchoPark Speedway. Right now it is Nicholas Coate still remaining loyal to the high side, but it's a tall task to get that 48 back up front to fight with the front runners.
And it's similar to see, and especially when you come to the Speed Cup Series, I think if you saw the last couple of times we've made our way to EchoPark, it has been that bottom line that's been where all of the drivers just seem to dive down into, and also at the same time, that outside line never really gets the momentum until the end of the race. So, you know, while the 48 of Nicholas Coate is trying to use that monster machine to try and rumble his way back up on the outside, got some friends now, it's going to be a tall task because Peyton Tulloch is still holding that inside line. And you can see they still got the momentum. They're still chugging along there on the inside line, and it's a little bumpy also to note here comparative to Daytona. So a lot of these drivers won't be doing as much side drafting. They might not be getting as close to each other because it's a little bit more dangerous, a little more uncomfortable for the drivers to go around this big old D-shaped oval. And all that being said and done, you know, it's just going to be a little bit harder towards the end of this race to get a great run going.
You're right on board with Ronnie Norman trying to get up to the Monster Energy Camaro of Nicholas Cove. Right now, not a lot of pushing going on the outside line. I feel like drivers are more content to kind of just do what they did at Daytona, run in line and wait for this race to come to them. No real looks for position for the time being, and you hear Ryan Newman lifting out as he tries to just keep in line with some of the drivers up around him. Fuel window anticipated to be around 45 to 50 laps. That is dependent, though, on how much you can save fuel. So if this race goes green for the distance, you're looking at a two-stopper easily.
And we did talk about, you know, fuel strategy was the key at Daytona. And when you come to Atlanta, tire wear takes a toll on those tires through the run. So drivers, you know, at the same time have to start thinking about more than just the fuel in the second race of the season. You can see it looks like the 82 Minazzi Major, and it looks like that's the 32 actually further on back there. That might be, trying to get a catch on who that is.
That would be Ronnie Norman, who is falling towards the rear, and McFadden with the NuWest Contractors, number 22, now catches the wall. We got one car going around, heads up, back in the field, the 99 of Philip Scott is turned sideways up into the field, and that's going to be the big one. Caught up early on, entering turn number 1 on just lap number 8. A host of cars stacked up and sliding down onto the apron. Among those is Jeffrey Reed, who looks to be stranded on the apron there. We've also got Sean Hughes involved. Kulikowski caught a piece. And that all started when Philip Scott got turned sideways in the quad oval.
I wouldn't have put any sort of money that the big one was going to happen this early into the race, especially in the single-digit laps. But all that being said and done, a lot of days done before it even really started. Taking a look back at the replay now. And really, it started with Philip Scott, like you said, Nolan. This 99 got stacked up and just pushed up right up into the 32, sends him right around, and that's just where the calamity starts.
It went into Scott Leonard. Nothing really that Leonard could have done. Look at Martin Plutus gave up high. There goes Jeffrey Reed careening into the accident scene. Jeremiah Vincent then gets piled in. Corey Hutchinson is there. Farella, Kulikowski all involved. Look at the 75 sliding in. He's going to run into the back of Farella as well. Quite a few drivers did do a good job to stay out of the wreck, but more often than not, drivers are going to find themselves put on the hauler after this one. A sizable crash puts on the flag. I think Scott tried to go high to get around Terrell Wheeler and just didn't anticipate the wreck.
Yeah, I think you know, with so many cars on that inside line, the stack-ups just get worse and worse. It's like traffic where, you know, you have a long line of cars, and when somebody breaks further up or somebody's a little slower, it's just a domino effect, and everyone's just accordioning on back through the field. And you can see the 99, I don't know if, I feel like he could have maybe dragged the brake a little bit more or something there, but nonetheless, just got up into that outside. Maybe also didn't get a call. The car was onto his outside as well. And all that said and done, I think Stacy Hunter might have been the only one in that back piece that was able to get away with some semblance of cleanliness.
Most of the field coming down pit road, save for the top 11. Now, this is critical, right? Because we talked about if you were able to make it to lap 50, that would still put you with a 10-lap difference on the field to the end. Well, we're on lap number 10 now, so a lot of drivers gambling that they could come down now, top of fuel, and potentially make it to the end of the race on a one-stop from here, just past the halfway mark. It's a bold strategy, but it has been one that has borne fruit before in this league, so we'll have to see if it is going to be a repeat of that strategy this afternoon. This is what Martin Blut saw. He is the one that went up high and just barely got through the mess.
Tight to the 81, just slid on by in that Twisted Beer Motorsports machine, just squeaking on by. You can see absolutely nobody else was able to at least squeak on by. That was a heck of a run by the 81 to just try and full bore through it, get around, and not have to worry about getting caught up in that calamity.
Sometimes the gap just opens up for you, and hey, you gotta take it when the opportunity presents itself. iRacing pace car continues to lead the field. Peyton Tulik has so far led every single lap of this race, and the rookie will look to lead us back to the green flag once more. Tulik, of course, coming off of the race from Daytona. He did compete at Daytona International Speedway just 1 week ago. Unfortunately, he was one of the many drivers that did not make it to the checker flag, caught up in the first big one of the night right around the halfway mark of the Highline Diecast Collectibles 250. Finished 36th out of 40 competitors. Looking to have quite the turnaround for the number 17.
Maybe hopefully also changing up the paint scheme might help the 17 as well. I believe last week it was a Tennessee Titans livery. Now we got the Pokemon livery going on, trying to catch all of the laps he can to lead them all and see if maybe that 17 can end up on the podium. Nonetheless, the top step. And I do like it. It is a very flashy paint scheme for that 17.
Well, you still see Tennessee Titans on the bottom, so he is still supportive of that home team. Can't blame him, right? You got to show your colors whenever you can. So Tulik will look to lead this field to the green flag for the second time today. It'll be 99 laps to go once we take to the green flag. Iris and pace car will make its drive into pit road, and we will get set to duke it out all over again. So there goes the Iris pace car into the box, and it will be that number 17 who will lead this field to the green flag in turn 1.
Such a momentum boost there for the 17. He's able to clear the 34 real easily coming through the start of lap 12. Here the green flag down and away. Nicholas Coates going to follow him on through. That's going to grant him that second position easily, and the rest of the field still trying to figure it all out. Ryan Newman in that 15. He's trying to use the outside line to try and make it work. He finished here in 6th last time we were at EchoPark, so we'll see if the 15 can try and keep up that run. He currently sits in about the same spot as he finished that last race, but now that outside line's going to try and figure something out here if they want to try and contend for that lead. And it looks like they're getting a little sporadic, a little further on back there in this line, so as long as the front half of this line can keep it together, then maybe they can get somewhere. But Ryan Newman ducks to the inside line there, and full throttle doesn't really give them any sort of momentum going forward.
The Canadian trying to lead the way out top, but getting shut down by Ryan Newman. I tell you what, the Velocity Baseball number 15 tried to push up from the inside. There was nothing doing, though. Montembeau had the nose in already, but that did stall out the outside line quite a lot, so the side draft strategy certainly paid off. But this time, Ryan Newman, I think he's trying to block off that outside line, but they've just got too much of a run for him to be able to do much about it.
And it's hard to, compared to Daytona, the aero here at Atlanta, if you block the car in front, then the car behind can get real tight and send that car right up. As you see Nicholas Coates try to actually use the outside line. Now he's going to try and maybe take the lead away from Peyton Tulik. Now we're 3 wide coming through to cross this stripe into turn 1.
Coates Gamble going up top did not pan out for him, although he will now lead the outside line ahead of Matt Montembeau. But with that bit of 3-wide nervousness deeper in the field, they're not going to be able to capitalize on the run that Coates would have offered them. And so they remain in lockstep as they fire their way down the back straightaway and in towards turn number 1 once again. Tulik still leads the way from Austin, from Newman. And Nicholas Coates still runs that outside groove, trying to get his way into the bottom lane, and he just manages to avoid getting turned.
Colton Easterday was there, and he did not let that slide at all. Ryan Newman now is going to be clear of the 48, but still Easterday is going to have to try and recover and get to the back bumper of the 15 as they're coming through 4. Nicholas Coates still on the outside, getting a little bit of push from Montembeau coming through across the stripe now, going into turn 1. You can see also Jordan Fisher is that 3rd car on the outside line. So really, once you get outside these top 2, they're about 2 wide all the way back through this top half.
1 car coming to pit road. That is Jeffrey Reed. Already was 1 lap down after the damage, and evidently was not as patched up as he thought that car was. You still see all that damage on the front end of the number 65, and that is going to be no bueno at a track like this, and you still see him really struggling to even get that car turned into pit road. So I think the 65 is going to have to bring that machine behind the wall. He is going to be done for the day as the pack continues their charge into turn number 3.
I say that right front looked like it was hurting real bad there coming on the pit road. Just Obviously, that damage is not going to help you at all at these draft-dependent tracks. So all that being said and done, you can see pretty much all of the cars that started out in the last restart are up in this top group. Once you get to about 25th, that's where the disparity happens, to about 3 seconds on back to Josiah Vincent and some others. It seems like there's a small little pack back there. But all that being said and done, this main pack still moving along, that inside line still being the safe option. But Nicholas Cote trying to make something happen on that outside line. Hasn't fallen back like the last restart we saw. Really, that outside line has stayed present in this top 5 or so, and that 48-28 combination has been doing wonders for him as well.
Still no moves being made towards the front of the field. Garrett Austin tucked in line, and we are effectively falling into a similar rhythm to Daytona, playing the waiting for something to happen. And well, something big just did happen in that second line. Matt Montembeau caught the wall in turn 3, and that's going to allow for Jordan Fisher to try to capitalize. He's going to go 3-1 to the middle. One car sideways behind. There's Charles Simmer. The field's going to scramble behind, and it looks like we're going to be able to survive that melee coming down towards turn 1.
I think Zachary Cox might have also gotten into the 42 there of Simmer, but all being said and done, everyone keeping it safe. Might be also remind everyone, you know, we're still got another 90, well, less than 90 laps now to go. We still got 3/4 of the race to try and get through before we start doing any dicey moves. And might be a lot of drivers also trying to think maybe to get into that bottom line now, but still, that outside line doing a great job there. Oh, Ryan Newman pushing up a little bit there going into 1. And he almost got into the side of Jordan Fisher there, but was able to keep it off the 35. And now that outside line has the momentum and might be trying to make their way towards the lead.
Trying to leapfrog their way forward. 90 laps was the number last time by. This time it'll be 88 as Peyton Tulloch continuing to lead the way, lap by lap by lap, as they make their way down to the turn numbers 1 and 2. 2 lines, but they are starting to get a little bit more squirrely, and I feel like that inside lane starting to push up to the inside to Scott Qualis. Now, that's not to say that they are doing that intentionally, right? But much like Auto Club and Michigan, you do have to lift a little bit once the tires start to wear down from the inside groove, and I feel like we're hitting that point where drivers are having to start to lift from the inside, or they're not wanting to.
You want to keep the momentum up no matter what you do. As you see everyone able to get back now to the 48. It looks like there's a little bit of a gap on that outside line, but yeah, you got to try and keep the momentum up as much as possible. And if you're doing so, riding on board here with Garrett Austin, like, you got to try and also conserve the tires a little bit. And for those drivers on the inside line, yeah, you're on the safe road to success right now, but that could be the, you know, the detriment in these later stages of this green flag run. Is now Peyton Tulloch might be under fire here to the 48.
Oh, Garrett Austin getting all sorts of sideways coming into turn number 1. And watch this run from the outside line. You're able to carry so much more speed now that the tires have started to wear off. There you see the 35 starting to close. Going to give a bump to the back of the 48 right as they enter turn 3. That's going to push Nicholas Cote back alongside the right front quarter panel, Garrett Austin. Tula continues to be clear for the lead, but the question now is, well, how much longer? Because this that outside lane closing in, and now they're alongside for the race lead.
Almost nose to nose coming out of 2. The 48 of Nicholas Cote is going to power on through. And like you said, Nolan, use that speed that you get, the momentum coming on that outside line. He's going to go his way down in front of Peyton Tulloch in the 17. And that's going to leave Jordan Fisher to leave that outside line with Munatsi Major, somebody we saw a lot of in Daytona. That 82 can push you right up to the front, but at the same time, you know, a lot of these drivers are going to be shifting around the lead. There's actually, in the Speed Cup Series, more lead changes here than at Daytona. So for a lot of these drivers, even if you're in the lead, that might not be the safest place. As you see the 48 get a little loose, it looks like, coming out of 2 there. That's going to give the 35 his opportunity to take the lead for now. Right behind him, Munatsi Major still trying to do whatever he can to stay to the back bumper of the 35, but not be given any sort of bad bumps here through the turns.
Jordan Fisher continues to hold his momentum up top. Main pusher now falls to the Majors garage, number 82 of Munatsi Major. A bit of a new look on Major's car as well. Mostly unaltered, but is riding a bit more of a yellowish gold trim on that 82 Camaro. And I must say, it looks mighty nice on the number 82 car. Jordan Fisher continued to try to pull clear up at the head of the field here while Major is tucked into line a little bit further behind. You've also got Matt Montembeau at the Top Golf Camry still trying to see if he can't close his way up to the point after Montembeau had a bit of a scare with Ryan Newman several laps ago.
One driver that we should be looking out for as well is Cedarius Days. He's currently sitting in 7th, started in 25th, that 4th car on that outside line. It seems like that outside line is the place to be. Oh, Minazzi Major able to close it off in front of the 48. The 48 slides up the track a little bit there. That is the prime example of a little bit of aero push that you get if you're going to slide right down in front of another driver in these next gens. It's just going to get your car real tight here at Atlanta, and it might cause a little bit of calamity here further on when the blocks get more and more aggressive.
Well, so far, so good. They'll make their way to the back straightaway, but oh, a lot of drivers started to get a little bit more squirrely up there. Jordan Fisher once again to the point, but not to Major, unable to get the run that he needed to take the lead away for the number 35. So from one rookie to another, now it's Jordan Fisher just logging lap after lap after lap as they continue to tick their way on through the laps we go. And right now, Fisher continuing to maintain his advantage up at the top end of the field.
I'm loving what he's seeing right now. That second line really diminishing now after these tires have worn. And that 12 of Cedarius Days is now going to have to see if he can make it out that outside work. Got about 3 drivers behind him now. You can see everyone on this front pack down into that inside line. And you can also see the 12 wasn't able to join us last week, and that's going to get him 3 wide. Actually, that's Grant Applegate looking to the inside. He's currently in the middle of 3 wide, and Cedarius Days is going to have to get stuck on that outside line with no draft support, and that's going to send him back a couple of positions here into the wall a little bit there, coming through 3 and 4, but nothing major for the 12 thing.
It's quite a big day for several drivers in this field. And for one driver in particular, it is a massive milestone being set, and we'll talk about that milestone once things settle down. But for the time being, Minazzi Major has finally pounced on Jordan Fisher for the lead of the race here. Now, this is critical here because right now, Fisher has no help on the outside line. Garrett Austin will go up to assist, but it's too little, too late. Major to the point from down low.
I am surprised even Jordan Fisher was able to stay there that long without any sort of resemblance of help on that outside line. But the 35 now falling back to the 34 of Garrett Austin. Maybe going to try and make something work here. But all that being said and done, Minazzi Major powering his way through and using that inside line to his advantage. In that 82 with the fresh scheme, maybe trying to get some laps logged in front of this whole entire pack in front of the field and make sure that paint scheme is maybe the one to get it done here today. Is the 35 still rolling on the outside? Got about 3 cars and still about 25 cars still in this pack. Cut it down to 24 actually this time by.
And Nicholas Coe, you saw how squirrely he got. That lets Jordan Fisher get into the second place spot. Garrett Austin. Oh, how about that actually? Fisher jumps back to the outside. He tucked in line to get the sniff of the draft from Major and then jumped to the high side and tried to take the run with Garrett Austin to the race lead. Looking to take it back as they go to the front straightaway. Minazzi Major still leads the way, but I feel like not for long because here comes Fisher up high.
Nose to nose now coming through toe, but that outside lane gets the run. Not the support though to the 35 as much as Minazzi Major has on that inside line with the 48 right behind him. That's going to give the 35 a little bit of a gap back to the car behind of Garrett Austin. Minazzi Major is going to be able to keep that inside line going as they are nose to nose across the stripe. I think the 35 had that lap led, but all that being said and done, that outside line, even though there is minimal amount of cars out there, still making it work, and it might help a lot of these drivers who have been part of some of the practices before understand when to strike, when to get to the outside lane further on in the race if they want to get track position, because it is so critical, especially in the back half of this race.
A secondary pack has dropped off from the leading group. This is Josiah Vinston down right now, 9.2 seconds behind the leading group, and you can tell these guys have just been looking to run around and try to take it easy. A lot of the cars involved here were caught up in the big one back in the opening laps, and whoa, problems for from Nazi Major, pulling to the inside. Something big has just happened to the number 82. We got a big crash coming out of turn 2 this time by.
Hard hit into the outside wall for the 92 of Tim Branson, and it looks like as everyone else in that second pack gets on through, able to get through since the track is clear. And I think it all started a stack up from Nazi Major potentially here. We'll take a look back at the replay.
You see Majors down low, looked like just lost it into the corner by himself, and then of course the field starts to check up, and it's Branson who gets hit from behind by the 21 of Corey Hutchinson, and then boom, a sledgehammer shot into the outside wall. There goes the 75 of Sean Hughes. He's going to spin into the inside fence coming out of turn number 2.
Is a end of the day for that 92. We're going to take another look at what happened to the Nazi Major here, and just got onto the apron there. It looked like just got a little loose, and the car just ended up on the apron there, and that just caused a domino effect all the way back to the tail end of this front pack. And unfortunately the demise of the last 3 cars there is the 75 you can see of Sean Hughes gets a little bit of damage, nothing critical like the 92, but everyone probably also breathing a sigh of relief that they can get some fresh tires on these cars.
Take another look at this one again, and it was a pretty big hit that Branson takes into this wall, right into the Coca-Cola signage, and lifted 3 of the 4 wheels off the ground as he goes into the wall at about 170 miles an hour. And like you say, this is going to bring virtually the entire field down pit road at the very least for tires. I think that was a sign that the tires were starting to go on some of these cars, and it's going to be foreign fuel for most.
Plus, everyone has to get into their box and make sure they at least don't make any mistakes on pit road, something that's overlooked by a lot, but also can help a lot of others. As you see, that's Grant Applegate in the 57, able to get out third. Mark McFadden, it looks like, is able to get in front of everyone currently in that 22s. You see the rest of the field coming down through pit exit. Nazi Major about halfway back in that pack now because of that whole ordeal.
Jumping back once again to the Ryan Newman and Associates, powered by Remax Select Replay. Tough break for Tim Branson, is making his 100th Speed Cup Series start. The first driver ever to hit the 100 start mark, and it's going to end with him on a hauler with that massive hit into the outside wall. A brutal impact there, and not the way that Branson wanted his 100th start to come to a close. That was the Ryan Newman and Associates, powered by Remax Select Replay. A reminder that on the track or in the market, things can change in a split second just like that. That's why you need a team that is on top of all the action. You need Ryan Newman and Associates. Critically as well, I do not believe any lucky dog got awarded in that crash because of the just how the caution fell on that one either. So we will not be getting a game glass lucky dog this time out either.
I guess it's a blessing and a curse, because currently as they stand, there's only 2 cars that are running that are a lap down. Well, one of them being Tim Branson, the other being Jeffrey Reed. So after all that, a lot of drivers, everyone's still able to get on the lead lap and be a part of this thing with over a third of the race done already. And coming up to almost, well, the lap 42 mark, you know, a lot of these drivers have learned a little bit here to try and, you know, figure out how they'll get to the front and maybe get through this pack. But at the same time, the tire wear, I think, was the big story for a lot of these drivers, and maybe trying to put that in the back of their mind here to try and make their moves early while the tires are fresh, and then once they get a little more squirrely, try to play it safe and make it to the end of this race.
Well, we'll try to go at it one more time here. Lap 42 of 110, already nearing the halfway point in a very short order this afternoon. We are still not at the point where we can make it to the end. A full fuel run of 50 laps would still leave these drivers about 19 laps short. Once we reach lap 60, though, that will all change. Will we get to that point? We'll find out in just a moment as we'll enter the EchoPark restart zone. Green flag is back in the air. Mark McFadden on just 2 tires leads us to green.
I was going to say the stack up really moved on that inside line. You saw the 22 didn't get that great of a jump, but still able to now be in front of both lines and pick which line he wants to get in front of. But Grant Applegate still there on that inside line, and Jordan Fisher trying to see if he can make that outside the line work again with Garrett Austin. Those two have been together along with Matt Montembeau on that outside lane. You know, all of them have been familiar with that outside line, but Garrett Austin's actually going to leave for the inside line, and Grant Applegate's going to take his place up in the front.
Into turn 1 at 200 miles an hour. Mark McFadden continues to lead the way. Meanwhile, Grant Applegate up on the high side, being pushed by Jordan Fisher. 2 of the rookies, once again, lined out nose to tail, and the teammates trying to see if they can't power their way back to the front. No dice.
Heck of a push coming through 4. Wow. But
oh, look out! Oh, a bad bump sends McFadden down, back into traffic, collects Nicholas Cote. And that's going to be everybody else coming into turn number 2. And it is a junkyard off the second corner.
That's the big one. We thought we had it on lap 8, but it happens on lap 44. And just everybody, pretty much 4th, 5th on back, collected in that one. See Ryan Newman getting some damage hard on that front side of that car, along with a lot of others that are going to have to start pitting to get some damages repaired.
And all of that started with what appeared to be an innocuous bit of contact for the lead. You'll take a look here. Watch as it's going to be a bad bump from Fisher to Applegate as they cross the start-finish line. Right there, leaned on the left rear quarter panel. That punched the 22 down onto the apron. At this point, he's just trying to slow down. He's hard on the brakes, but that car is not stopping. Back into traffic. And it's on from there. And look at everyone behind starting to lose as well. Just trying to stack up for the crash. I'm counting at least a dozen caught up in there. You see them wrecking again on the far right side of your screen as well.
See some people. Oh, I thought there was going to be some people threading the needle there to get through it. I don't really think if you're in the back half of that pack, you were pretty much going to be met with fate to hit somebody throughout that whole ordeal.
I have to agree with you on that one. A tough break for much of the field. There's the big hit that kicks off much of the front end of the field here. McFadden involved, so was Plute. Ryan Newman is involved. I think Benanti Major mostly managed to get through that. I know he got the wall, but I feel like for him it could have been far worse. But this is going to bring a lot of cars down pit road now.
Still, we already mentioned that we cannot be within the fuel window here to make it to the end of the race. You can see, you know, 3 wide also, Atlanta is real tight. You can see Nicholas Cote just getting sent up into, just because he had nowhere else to go. 3 wide is pretty much the entirety of the track here at EchoPark. Oh, hard hit. All the smoke. You can't even tell who's in it at that point.
Yeah, take another look at this. This is going to be at speed. David Farella and Jason Shu both had a couple of pretty hard impacts. They were among the guys caught up in a secondary crash, just trying to check up for the incident here. You see them already hard on the brakes. Everyone up front sees what's happening here, and just not enough reaction for these guys at the back of the field. There's Charles Simmer piling in. There's Jason Shu, and there's the hit from Jeffrey Reed that sends Farella careening into the rest of the pack. One more look on the Ryan Newman Associates powered by Remax Select Replay. Boy, a tough break. And our second big one of the night.
No matter where you look, it's pretty much a just calamity. You can't really see anything else less than a wreck as you see, you know, just you can't go anywhere either. You're really just hoping and praying that 22 is going to stay down low and somehow regain it, which is pretty much impossible for what the 22 had to go through there.
Oh, he's just
sends it back up into the track and just huge hits all around.
See Benanti Major get punched up in the wall. Justin Mello actually managed to more or less slip through that. There's Ryan Newman just getting nicked. I think Cosmo Inoshu actually may have gotten through that in the number 24 down on the inside. But golly, I mean, it just keeps on going. Right on board your Inoshu before we jump back to live pictures. They are 1 lap to green, so we'll make this one quick. Inoshu up in a 5th now after this.
And that 24 was already looking to the middle, trying to make something happen there. Got a little bit of contact initially, and just dodging and weaving right through, feeling like you're in that dodgeball movie. You know, you got to duck, dive, dip, dodge, and dive. I think that's the last D. But anyways, you know, nonetheless, just getting his way through, and now up to 5th, like you said, Nolan.
Jordan Fisher, Grant Applegate, the 2 drivers up front that will continue to survive. Matt Montembeau hot on his heels behind, and we are going to delay this start. Give the field a chance to catch up to the tail end. Jeffrey Reed collected in that crash, so once again, we will not see a running of the Game Glass Lucky Dog here this afternoon. Once again, this race brought to you tonight by Beer Street Journal, one of the largest online collections of original content dedicated to covering original content with beer culture, education, and the advancement of the beer industry. With thousands of articles, millions of unique visitors, and exposure in over 200 countries, Beer Street Journal is paving the way to enabling category growth, engaging the broader consumer base, and promoting better tasting beer for years to come. BeerStreetJournal.com, the best in beer. As well as that, one needs to wear a bow tie, no strapping. Just slide it over the top button of your shirt and go. They're great for all ages. Get yours today at bowties.org. 1 lap to green, and we'll try it again. That was the shortest green flag run, though, that we have had all night here, Brad.
And along with that, I mean, considering everyone got damage in that, there's still 28 cars on this lead lap, and eventually the lucky dog has to be claimed, right? So, you know, all that being said and done, a lot of these drivers staying on the lead lap, and, you know, if it does go green, we won't have that lucky dog, but, you know, we can hope for a lot of these drivers, like the 35 and 28 up front, maybe trying to hope and pray to maybe get some green flag stops loaded here, but that's a very heavy task right now comparative to 45 to 50 laps on green flag laps.
Still shy of halfway, working our 3rd caution of the night. 34 cars started this race, all but 1 are still running. 28 are on the lead lap. Jordan Fisher will look to lead the way into the EchoPark restart zone, and the green flag is back in the air.
Montembeau on that outside lane just stacked them all right up. Grant Applegate and Jordan Fisher out to about a 3-car length gap back to the 28 now. Who's going to get into that inside line. And really right now also just that outside line non-existent through that whole entire first set of corners. Everyone on that outside lane able to find their way to the inside. You can see as they're still going through. And now that's going to leave the 35 and 57 to have a little bit of a gap now at the rest of the pack going to be able to close right back up to their bumpers.
That was a good effort, but Matt Montembeau quickly running the back down. I feel like Grant Applegate may have given Jordan Fisher a bit of a bump there to get him going, and that would make sense, right? They are teammates, so of course they're going to look to play a couple of games to give them every advantage that they possibly can. 60 laps to go, this time by at the line. Fisher from Applegate, from Montembeau, from Inoshu, from Barra. The top 5 all single file. Next to nobody on the outside line, save for Martin Plute, who right now has no help up top.
You know, sometimes you just got to take some higher risks here, especially if everyone's just trying to, you know, make their way around the bottom. That outside line, we saw it work to get you some spots, but also the side drafting can, you know, really slow down a lot of the field, especially with these damaged race cars that are on track right now. That side drafting might make a second pack potentially if you're not careful, but still, yeah, Martin Plute just trying to see if he can get anywhere in that 81, and it's not going to be any help right now at least.
So Jordan Fisher will be on a single file run up at the head of the field. Halfway point closing in just 5 laps time, but we still do not have the field to go the distance. Drivers will have to pit with around 10 to 8 laps to go before they will be able to fully go to the end of this race. So for quite a few, it's going to be Bit of a tall order at this point to make that strategy work. At this point, do you look to pit around the halfway point of the stint or run it dry and pit with less than 10?
It really just might be how overall how you feel with these tires in the current set you have under you, because it could just be, you know, if everyone keeps it single file, there's not going to be that much risk to go with it. But at the same time, we saw some of these cautions happen just because of a bad bump in the wrong spot, so you don't necessarily need to be too wide to have any sort of caution here at EchoPark. But all that being said and done, I would probably wait until you can't anymore, in my opinion, just to make sure you don't get trapped a lap down, because we are only at a 1.5 mile track, and with everyone staying in line like they are and in the draft, it's going to be hard to get your lap back without any sort of help or the full fuel or the full pit cycle going through.
TI Racing maintaining a 1-2 at the front end of the field. Matt Montembeau trying to see if he can't maybe size up a run, but he would have to link up with Cosman Ionoshu behind to realistically make that work. And you see what Applegate's been doing as we go into a bit to the outside of the exit of turn 2, making sure that it covers off any potential chance on an outside run. And that has been working wonders for this TI Racing 1-2 at the head of the field. They're helping each other out, and the rest of the field biding their time. And no doubt Matt Montembeau going through the motions in his head and trying to think of a strategy to blow by these two.
And also with that, since Applegate is moving outside of the bumper of the 35, he's also cooling that engine down little by little. I know at Daytona, this would be more of a worry to have the engine temps ramp up on you, but nonetheless, it doesn't happen often. But you have to watch and make sure that engine doesn't lose any sort of power because of sticking onto the back bumper of your teammate if you're Grant Applegate. Along with that, maybe Matt Montembeau is maybe just trying to, keep himself steady right there. Maybe eventually, you have the 24 of Cosman Ionoshu, who you can depend on to maybe make an outside move as well. Joey Barrett also there. I thought I saw the 97 involved in that last wreck, but nonetheless, if he did not, he's been currently pushing his way up through the field, up about 25 spots now for that 97, so a good day. And all that being considered, if you're currently that 57-35, you have a trustworthy duo going right now. This is currently paradise if you can find it in Atlanta.
Most of the field continuing to run single file. Let's jump on board with Martin McFadden for a few laps, and we'll let you feel the noise from the EchoPark Speedway as the NuWest Contractors 170 continues on, and this could look to be our longest green flag run of the night. The CIL 500 is almost upon us. On February 26th at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, one more driver will look to add their name to the list of drivers who have been able to kiss the virtual brakes of the historic Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Not only can everyone watch this race live on Green Flag TV, but any college student or alum can enter this race. If you want to find out how you can enter this event and win a share of the $100 prize pot, scan the QR code on your screen or visit collegiateirisleague.com for more information. And just like that, the caution flag is out here at the EchoPark Speedway. And we're going to slow this one down once again. Charles Simmer with a big hit to the inside, it looks like. Garrett Austin also caught up. And yet again, we are going to slow things down this afternoon.
A lot of torn up race cars here. We were watching this, you know, it was heating up a little bit there in that main pack, but right on here, it looks like a lot of these drivers may be getting a little frisky further on back here as we see Garrett Austin and company.
Garrett Austin was right behind Charles Simmer. Simmer bounced off the apron there. That caused a bit of a stack up, and around goes Simmer. And that sends Austin into the inside wall. Oh, and a big shot from the back end, courtesy of Ryan Newman. He's going to slow this field down, and that is likely going to be the cause of the yellow flag here. That would definitely do it if I had to anticipate.
Yeah, the 15 had a heck of a lot of damage to the front of that machine, but now definitely all but ripping off the nose of that car coming through the backstretch there. And, I mean, this was in part of the second pack they were developing there, and Simmer just gets unsettled there on the inside line right into the 34, and relatively wasn't bad until he tried to get it back down the apron. Ryan Newman just right into the backside of the 42. Hard into the inside wall goes Simmer, and detrimental damage to the two of them.
I don't even think he was trying to get it down to the inside. I think that right front was broke, and he didn't even have a lot of control over the car. This pit stop is critical, though. We are in the fuel window, so drivers can now pit and be good to go the distance on fuel. So everyone is into pit road this time.
That being said and done, you can see everyone taking tires, and obviously that's what you're going to need if you're going to try and stay out till the end. Looks like a couple drivers able to make it in front of the 35 and company, and that's Cosmin Ionoshu and Philip Scott that are able to get out in front of the rest of the field here. Grant Applegate, Ethan Amberg round out your top five with Matt Montembeau. And Joey Barrett also coming in right behind there. And you can see some cars still on pit road, just trying to get all the damages repaired that they can, just in case we do make it to the end.
Sedarius Days here, going to be the first recipient in this race. It took long enough, right? 4 yellow flags, and we finally got in here. But our first recipient of the Game Glass Lucky Dog. Game Glass turns your phone or tablet into a custom control panel for your favorite sim game. Star Citizen, DCS, Flight Sim, or iRacing, you name it. No more forgetting keybinds. Just tap and fly. Try it for free at gamesglass.gg or use Hunter71 for 10% off on a subscription. Once again, that would be Hunter71 for 10% off the Game Glass subscription today. Sedarius Days having to wait to avoid getting a penalty for coming down pit road. And take one more look at speed of what happened to Charles Simmer and co. coming on the back straightaway. But again, I want to kind of put emphasis on Charles Simmer here, right? Because watching it goes into the outside wall right here. Well, you know how far sharply that car turns down? I think he's out of control.
That's a great point, Nolan. I completely agree after seeing that. I mean, the toe links on these next gens can just, you know, break at a whim, it seems like at times, and I think he just really didn't have much control or much say about it coming down the backstretch there. And obviously Ryan Newman nowhere to go, and that little gaggle of damaged cars, unfortunately, got a little more damage through that. Not all of them, though. A lot of drivers you can see also trying to get back up to speed and back up to the pack here as we're getting another caution lap here to make sure everyone is included as we come to 42 to go here.
Lights still on aboard the Iverson pace car, so we're going to go for one more lap. Jeffrey Reed has been given a black flag, I believe, for entering a closed pit road. So he's going to have to come down to serve a secondary incident. Tim Branson in the back. Looking like the 92 crew's having a bit of a barbecue with the number 92 machine in pit road. Do you think they're using some of the Twisted Steel Steak appeal down there in that 92 pit box?
Maybe. I would say so.
I'm sure Martin Plute's crew would have been more than happy to go over and drop off a bottle or two.
Absolutely. And I think it's the least they could do.
Yeah. Cosman Inoshu will lead the way. Philip Scott will be to his outside in second. All things considered, from that really big crash, not a lot of drivers lost too many spots as a result of that one, because over half the field was down pit road for 50 seconds or more for major damage repairs. It was really only the top 6 that stayed out on the racetrack. That's why we don't see as much of a field shakeup as I think you and I were anticipating. Cosman Inoshu, though, will lead the way back to green. That Tiltify Camry is a tough nut to crack when it's in the race lead.
It's one thing to have that lead, but another thing to take it away. I mean, here at EchoPark, it is going to be, you know, a little bit of sporadic changing of the lead. We have, on average, about 15 lead changes per race every time the Speed Cup Series comes to Atlanta. So everything being considered, it's not a guarantee, but for Inoshu, it is definitely seeming to be almost a brick wall at times when that 24 makes its way up to the front. But Philip Scott and everyone you can see further on back trying to make it through, along with Ethan Amberg, who has won here before in the Speed Cup Series, so don't count him out either.
Inoshu right now tied for 4th in overall wins in Speed Cup Series with Drew Eisman and Martin Plute at 6 wins for his 35 race starts. And trying to see if he can make that 7 this afternoon to tie for 3rd with Darling and Robert Anderson. Pace car is into pit road this time by, and Cosman Inoshu will look to lead the field to the green flag. Oh, bit of a jump from behind from Jordan Fisher. Clearly thought that Inoshu would go sooner than he did, and that stacks up the inside line.
Obviously, it's at the leader's discretion when he goes in that restart zone, and the 35 thought he knew what the 24 was going to do there, but nonetheless, that inside line still going to keep rocking and rolling as Jordan Fisher and Inoshu are going to be clear, and actually Fisher jumps to the outside to try and take the lead away.
Of course, you got Grant Applegate on the outside line, so Fisher might be trying to link up with his teammate, but the problem is they've got Philip Scott breaking up the pair. It's going to make it awful hard for those two Mustangs to work with one another, but you do have 3 Fords lined up, 1, 2, and 3 on the outside line. Well, it's 3 different manufacturers, 1 apiece down the bottom side of the racetrack. Trouble back straight away, around goes Philip Scott. This is going to be a mess, and it's the 3rd big one of the night. And it is a parking lot entering turn number 3.
This is the 3rd time again tonight. I can't sit. I feel like there's just a list of cars involved in this wreck that just all started up at the front yet again. Grant Applegate sending just, it looked like maybe a bad bump on the backstretch. We'll have to take a look, though, at the replay.
Going to the Ryan Newman at Associates is powered by Remax Select Replay. Scott kind of bobbled a bit coming out of turn 2, and it looks like that little bobble is what got him into Applegate. I don't think that's entirely on the 57 there. And there he clips the 75, and look up front as they started to pile up entering turn number 3. Philip Scott got turned down to the inside. Jason Shue went up into the outside, but man, it was on entering that 3rd corner.
And it's just got cluttered. It seems like at times when the smoke kicks up, you're further back in the pack and you can't see past the car in front of you. You just turn into a chicken with its head cut off. You're just kind of running around trying to find any sort of gap, anywhere you could really just see to get through this whole ordeal. And, hard little kick there. It's going to send everyone. Oh, geez. I keep looking, and there's a harder hit every time I look further into the picture.
Yeah, Martin flew right into the door of Josiah Vincent, and then back into traffic. Colextel Wheeler, Stacy Hunter, Corey Hutchinson. David Farella slides to a stop. Matt Montembeau is in it. Stan Hausman slides the Highline diecast collectors number 39 in, and boy, what a junkyard.
Well, if we didn't think we had enough damaged cars here tonight, this just adds to the tally, and unless you were anywhere further forth on back, you couldn't really get through this one. Easter Day, I thought was about to, and the 4 of Josiah, I believe that's Josiah Vincent, gets hit hard.
Yeah, that was that brutal impact to the inside, right on board with Martin Plout, as he arrived on scene and just couldn't stop for slamming into the door of the number 4.
Oh, clear ahead and bam! Wow.
Never saw. He thought he had to miss too. I mean, there was nothing he could have done to avoid that. Just out of right field. Yeah, look at Scott. Scott is definitely loose that 99 car. That is not on Applegate there.
Absolutely, yeah. From everything at full speed, I initially thought that it was maybe a bad bump, but yeah, I think Scott just got out of sorts, stacked up that outside line, and just really just started this whole little domino effect. Everything being considered, not really on anyone particularly, but all that being said and done, everyone pretty much involved in this one. There's a lot of room, it seems like, on the apron here in Atlanta, but everything being considered, yeah, no one got through that.
Golly, I mean, you saw Mark McFadden, I think, take another brutal shot into the inside wall. Try to get one more look at this from above. And hold on, because it's a ride, and it was McFadden that caught the inside wall hard.
We talked about Tim Branson having race number 100 tonight, but the 2 drivers right after him in race starts with McFadden and Plout had hard hits in that wreck. Unfortunately, it seems like anyone that has been here for a long time has also got caught up in some big damage here tonight.
Boy, that was Minazzi Major. He caught a piece of that as well. Green flag coming out this time by. We'll wait to see if they wave this off again or if they're going to allow the field to get through it. I did see one driver take a wild swing right through the middle of the melee, and I do want to get a look at that again if we can, but for the time being, just a rough drive overall for this field, and we will get a look at that incident one more time once things have calmed down here on this restart, but it'll be 36 laps to go when we take it to the green flag. It was Ronnie Norman, by the way. He now runs in 6th. Once again, looking for the EchoPark restart zone, and the green flag is back out.
I think this time Ian No-Shoe was able to get a huge jump. He jumped a little further back in the restart zone, and Jordan Fisher is going to be able to follow on further down there. Joey Barrett is going to be left on that outside with the John Deere machine, but Applegate is going to be able to climb up into 4th. It looks like Fisher may be trying to use that outside line, get a little bit of momentum with his teammate now behind him.
Snow hose bar now, no fuel saver required, and now the TI Racing have linked up 1-2 up top. Fisher and Applegate trying to get runs going and all over the back of each other, as well as they try to keep the momentum moving on the top side. Amberg into the lead from down low. Ian No-Shoe clears up front.
And right now this race has kind of turned into a marathon in the sense that if you can at least keep your car in one semblance piece, it could, do you dividends right now, as this top 6 to 7 range have pretty nice cars, and then you look further on back throughout the field, it gets a little more damage as you go.
Ronnie Norman was able to avoid the melee. He slipped right through the middle of all this, picked up a 6th place run. This is what he saw. I mean, how about that?
As I say, still couldn't see, but luckily braked enough to where he was able to scream on through and pay big dividends to that 32, as he's now sitting in 6th and trying to figure out if he's going to go on this outside line.
There is the field that's left coming out of turn number 4. Back to the straightaway, up high, looking for 3 wide behind. A huge charge for Adam Kulikowski going around the top side, and he picks off 2 of them. Sorry, that was the 51 of Zachary Cox making a run.
And I believe Cox was part of a couple incidents earlier just by the domino effect, but the 51 still seems to have speed. As you saw there, able to carry his speed on that outside line, making it 3 wide, getting a couple spots in the meantime. We are 33 to go in quite literally about, well, not the last third, but less than a third to go here in tonight's race as we come to 32 to go now. But Ethan Amberg all up on the backside of Cosman Ionoshu. Grant Applegate giving a lot of distance to his teammate Jordan Fisher on that outside. It's not going to help him right now, at least.
So far, so good. Cosman Ionoshu continuing to lead the way up front. Jordan Fisher looking for the outside line. No room. He'll tuck back in line on this one. Joey Barrett continues his charge. Looking for third while Ionoshu and Amberg get linked up and start to help push each other towards the front end of the field as well.
You can also see Stacy Hunter there in that fourth car on the inside line, giving a lot of distance to that 97, but still a fresh face up here in the top 5 or so. That outside, you can see those teammates are on each other like glue. Oh, a little hook, almost got hooked coming out of 4 there. A little fishy, though, not from the less for the 35, coming out of 4.
Well, Fisher's able to hold it. Applegate's going to go to the inside, and Fisher will look to tuck in line to link up with his teammate. And that now allows Ronnie Norman to lead the charge up top. Under 30 laps to go here from the Highline Diecast Collectible Speed Cup Series NuWest Contractors 170 EchoPark Speedway. Joey Bear gets contact. TI Racing splits him 3-1 through the middle, and they're somehow able to hold on.
I don't think Bear was expecting to be pinched as much as he did coming across this stripe. But that gives TI Racing a great little move there to get around the 97 and back up to that outside line again, except the roles are reversed this time. Applegate in front of Fisher. They're going to see if they can make it work as that outside line is established. Now they have the momentum. So now Cosman Ionoshu with 28 to go this time by is going to have to start maybe picking and choosing his battles when it comes throughout these turns.
All the way up and around this racetrack, lap traffic started to become a bit of a problem up the road. That is Sean Hughes right now 1 lap down and lapping almost 2.5 seconds a lap slower than the front runners. And unlike Daytona, not a lot of places he can go to get out of the way. He's going to have to go up high and hope for the best.
Right now, and now he's going to have to try and make it work on that outside through turns 1 and 2. Doing a good job so far, keeping it off the wall as well. A little scrape there, but it looks like the 75 is going to be able to keep unscathed and cause another big one here. And maybe file back into this line now and stay within this pack. Further on up at the front, you can see Ionoshu, Applegate battling for the lead coming out of 4.
And Fisher and Applegate able to take advantage of the lap traffic and use that to power their way to the front. They were able to pick up some of that draft, and now Ionoshu under heavy fire. The outside lane is pulled even with him. Ethan Amber slipping up on the inside, nearly clips the 35 of Jordan Fisher. And down the back straight we go, looking for 25 laps on the boards this time by. And the Tiltify Camry continues to maintain a strong pace on the bottom side.
And I think as much as Applegate really wants to dive down to the bottom line and lead both lines, he's not going to be able to. He's trying to help his teammate Fisher on that outside line, but Ethan Amberg is not going to let Ionoshu go anywhere. Both of these drivers in the second cars back in each row, sticking to the backside of all of these leaders right now. You can see a slow car on the inside. I believe that's the 19. Going to have to let the pack through.
And that car going to slow up. That was Scott Leonard slowing up to allow the field through. Down on the inside line. Ionoshu continuing to pull the drive up top. Applegate with him. Can the 35 and the 14 have an opening? That is the big ticket question right now. Ronnie Norman and Joey Barrett, the third cars in line on both of their respective lanes. And at this point, it's gridlock.
Yeah, if you're these cars like potentially like Jeremiah Vincent and Zachary Cox sitting about 5th car on back, you got nowhere to go. You don't really want to establish a third line right now. It's not do or die yet. You still got 24 laps to go, but you can't go anywhere. You don't want to push anyone out of line. You also don't want to be pushed out of line, and you hope nobody really pushes the envelope. So I think for a lot of these drivers outside of this, first 3 in each lane, it just feels like you're kind of just trying to keep as close to the car in front, make sure nobody dives in front of you, but at the same time, not get into that car on the outside or inside respectively. So just a little bit of, up front. You can see they're still nose to nose. The speed is still there, and they're still 3 wide, actually further on back here.
Major up top, Colt in the middle, Easterday down low. Continuing to keep that momentum rolling forward. Colt nearly turns himself across the nose of the 82. Again, they're able to hold it. Garrett Austin tucking in light trouble up front. Look out, Ethan Amber goes around. Sideways on the back. Collects Applegate. Coat's involved. Wheeler's involved. And multiple cars spinning again. But we somehow avoid the big one. Garrett Austin has pounded the inside fence.
That left front is still, it is not moving at all. Garrett Austin involved in multiple incidents, and that is going to be the one that kicks the bucket for the 34. Got a meatball flag along with Grant Applegate through that whole ordeal that really started up at the front.
Looked like I can't tell quite what happened there for that angle. I have to get a look at it, but boy, a hard shot into the wall. Ethan Amberg got tangled up. There you saw Terrell Wheeler. He actually got hit by Ryan Newman from behind, trying to stack it up to avoid the incident. Nicholas Cote got involved as well. So yet again, 2 separate crashes here. One at the front and then one at the back, just trying to slow down for the mess.
Really, I'm surprised how many of these incidents have happened up in the top 5, really. Usually the mid-pack is where you see a lot of these daring moves happen, and I don't want to say it was Fisher and Applegate maybe got into it a little bit there coming out of 2. Maybe something happened there, I think. Nonetheless, that sent Applegate down into Amberg on the inside line. And yet again, just a big old snowball effect for everyone further on back. And, it's still a part. That backstretch has really turned into a parking lot for about 3 or 4 laps here of this race.
On board with Garrett Austin. He got hit from behind as he was checking up, but that punches him into the inside wall from above. And this will be at speed. No, he just got loose by himself. Had the air taken off of him by his own teammate.
And in these next gens, especially here at EchoPark, aero is so key to try and keep this car under you. And that is the detriment for those teammates coming through 1 and 2. And, all things considered, we finally get a second lucky dog.
Scott Lennon, the second recipient of the Game Glass Lucky Dog here this afternoon. And once again, we are under caution here at the EchoPark Speedway. So what we are going to do here, we're going to take ourselves with a quick step back. But my goodness, this race continuing to develop in extreme fashion. When we return, it's more racing action on Green Flag TV. Stay with us. We'll be back in a moment.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV, where we are seconds away from returning to the Green Flag Racing here at the EchoPark Speedway. Once again, my name is Will Ramble alongside Brad Daniels, bringing you all the action from start to finish here this afternoon. And Brad, it's been a pretty wild race as it is, and it is showing no signs of slowing down anytime soon.
Absolutely not. Every time we think they're getting in a rhythm and kind of taking it easy, it seems like something happens, something breaks loose that causes some sort of incident. So all of that being said and done, with 19 to go, this is when I was expecting, you know, the elbows to come out and the punches to be thrown. So all that being said and done, we'll see if the drivers will make it without another caution.
Green flag will be back in the air this time by with just 18 laps to go into the EchoPark restart zone. Green flag back in the air, and we are once again getting up to speed into turn number 1.
I know, Shu, obviously that inside line being the leader, you're basically guaranteed to keep that lead at least through turn 1 so far here tonight. But everyone filing into that inside line. First battle you can see here, Zachary Cox and Jeremiah Vincent. Cox has no sort of support on the outside line. Really, everyone kind of abandoning further back there. You can see really nobody there. Oh, that's 97 to Joey Barrett gets taken advantage of the Ronnie Norman.
Oh, there we go. Look out. Joey Barrett sliding. So is Zachary Cox. Cox in a pit row. No caution yet. Cox going to spin it fully around, keeps it off the wall, and we're able to keep this race green.
Not even one green flag lap, and we already have something happening at the front yet again. But everyone's still keeping it forward, no caution of sorts. But still, Zachary Cox, Jeremiah Vincent, both getting black flags and ultimately ending their day or any sort of hope of a good result.
Take a look as they are going to go spearing into the infield for the two of them, and right about there, look at the height that Zachary Cox got when that car launched over the infield Legends Oval. I mean, that thing is hopping up and down like it's in the World Rally Championship, and did a phenomenal. You see how hard he's cranked that wheel to the right? That is what saved him from going to the inside wall. So a great job from Cox to save that car from more damage.
Back up at the front, still have Ianoshu, Jordan Fisher. Fisher keeps looking to the outside here, but it always goes back to the inside. Doesn't really have a run right now. Obviously, with Applegate getting involved in that last incident, that sent him further on back. You can see the outside line not really established until you get about 6 cars on back. I believe that's where we see Sedarius Days on that outside lane trying to make it work with maybe Corey Hutchinson on the inside there.
Sedarius Days got the lucky dog, just a couple of cautions ago, and now leading the charge on the high side, trying to power his way to the front, now up into the top 10, and he's going to have one car look to go up with him here as Stan Hausman jumps up to now lead the outside group, trying to lend some assistance to the drivers that maintain loyalty to the outside.
And it's interesting to look also, obviously, with the restrictor plate tracks or anything relating to it, you know, you can start anywhere in the field and end up at the front, but really for these drivers up front, it got real close there between David Farella and Stan Hausman. But looking at this top 10, only 2 drivers started in the top 15, and that is Cosmin Ianoshu and Ronnie Norman, who started 2nd and 12th. So everyone else, truly, it's just been getting through these wrecks and making it worth it. So you see some lap traffic. That's Zachary Cox actually up there, and he's going to have to hug that outside wall to not get any sort of damage on that 51.
EchoPark Speedway is the site of Green Flag TV's, the Speed Cup Series' closest ever finish of just 1/1000th of a second. It was back in 2024 between Ben Masham when he held on against Christopher Darling. And something tells me we could be in for yet another one of those iconic photo finishes here this afternoon as we're looking for 10 to go next time by.
Let's say a lot of aggressive moves. You can see that outside line is now getting established, and Jordan Fisher, he keeps looking to the outside. He loves that outside, it seems like. That 35 is not shied away from using that outside line whenever there is help or Grant Applegate. So all that being said and done, this might be the 35's opportunity, and he does. He jumps to the outside of Ianoshu.
Jordan Fisher to the high side. Ianoshu down low. Contact in the middle of the field. They're able to hold it. But that's going to make these guys now 2 wide all the way back, and Fisher led the last lap, but now with 10 to go.
going to try and roar back a little bit here, but the outside line is going to have the run down the backstretch if they can. Joey Barrett's going to have to try and get to the backside of Jordan Fisher here, but Fisher still nose to nose with the 24 as they come into 3 now, as they are pretty well established. About 5 cars back on that outside row, door to door, the 24 and 35 coming out of 4.
Continuing on as this field not showing any signs of yielding anytime soon. Jordan Fisher up to the high side of Cosmo Inoshu. Still have Ronnie Norman leaning on the left rear quarter panel, that number 35. Down from the inside groove. To the back straightaway we go. And still, it remains a dogfight for the race leaders. And again, Inoshu pulling the gap in front, and Ronnie Norman taking the air off the left rear. Drags Jordan Fisher back.
Lap traffic's going to get involved here. He's selecting to go on the low line. That helped Inoshu get a run and get to the outside. Fisher all up on the back bumper of the 24. Gets him a little bit squirrely. And now lap traffic is actually going to be leading that inside line.
Getting a little bit dicey here. One bad move could spell disaster. Inoshu holding on 3 wide here. Days up to the high side. Days into the outside wall. Joey Barrett had some contact in the midfield as well. Still, we are being green, and Inoshu still leaves the way, but Jordan Fisher's aggression is steadily building here.
You can see it seems like every single lap you can see slowly that inside line gets more and more tight, going through 3 and 4 and sliding up to that outside line, and that makes them all get door to door with each other. But as that being said, they're running through this time by. You can see them sliding up ever so slightly. The 14 of Ethan Anberg sliding almost in front of the 35 of Jordan Fisher, but Fisher able to keep it to the outside of the 14 as they come to 6 to go.
I mean, they can't keep doing this for 6 more laps. Sooner or later, something's going to break, and it might happen here as Amberg again jumps to the high side. Jeremiah Vincent, remember, that number 8 car is a lap car. He has no stake in this fight, save for trying to remain in the position for a Game Glass Lucky Dog, and that is right now wreaking havoc on the front runners as they try to catch Inoshu for the lead.
Now Sedarius Days is going to have to maybe try and make it around the 8 coming through 1 and 2. You see it's pretty much been hard for Inoshu and Amberg to try and get around that 8 once he got settled into the pack. And now Jordan Fisher actually holding on to the outside of the 8 as those two up at the front get a little bit of a 2 to 3 car gap between the rest of the field now, as it looks like Sedarius Days giving the push to the 8 through the backstretch.
Jordan Fisher continuing to lead the way, looking for 4 laps to go here. And again, the question is, do we make it to the white flag? The next yellow would send this race into overtime. And these drivers seem that they can't finish out the NuWest Contractors 170 on regulation.
And one thing to note also, Jeremiah Vincent's 2 laps down. There's still Zachary Cox only 1 lap down. So that 8 might not even get the lucky dog here with his current position. If there were the caution come out with 3 to go now, these drivers just trying to get around the 8 and maybe get themselves up to the 24 and 14, who have not really been contested. Oh, Days goes up high.
Oh boy, into the outside wall. That's going to be the wreck, and there it is. They will not make it to the white flag. Caution is out. And a hard 8 into the outside wall. Several drivers just got pinged for the incident limit all at once. Hutchinson, Easterday, Farella will all have to come down Fair Road. That eliminates at least 3 more cars out of the fight. So Darius is junk. He is done for the day, and so is Zachary Cox.
It's like that Game Glass Lucky Dog is going to have to hold off for another time because Zachary Cox was going to be the lucky dog there, but unfortunately now going to have to send us into a green-white checkered situation. But first, we'll see what happened to everyone involved there.
And we'll jump back one more time to the Ryan Newman and Associates powered by Remax Select replay and try to dissect what went wrong. It happened towards the front here, I think. No, it happened up front and already hard into the wall for Varela. Justin Mello caught up in it. There's Jordan Fisher again caught up. There's the shot that you just saw Zachary Cox take into the fence. Golly, not the way that drivers were hoping that this race is going to pan out this afternoon. Let's go to Jordan Fisher. And got into the back of days. And that got him loose. And it was on.
35, it looks like, ooh, hard into that outside wall.
Boy, oh boy. Boom for Cox at the tail end of the field. You saw the shot as well for Farella into the inside wall. At speed.
Absolutely. Another incident right up in that top 5. This is probably the least critical one in the sense that only about 3 or 4 drivers got some hard contact, including the 51 of Zachary Cox. He was further back in the pack here and was in place to get a lucky dog, just loses it coming out of 2, I think trying to lock up the brakes to try and slow down for the incident.
Yet again, another supreme impact into that outside of wall. That turn 2 wall has taken an absolute beating today, and if ever there was a stress test for the turn 2 safety barriers, this race has been it today. Virtually every crash, bar 1 and 2, happening in turn number 2. First attempt at overtime here in the Highline Diecast Collectibles Speed Cup Series in race 2 at the EchoPark Speedway for the NuWest Contractors 170. There is a max of 2 attempts, and this will be the first. The last, I think, 3 races at this venue here have all come down to overtime for the Speed Cup Series, and, well, I guess we'll keep the trend going.
One thing to note, not that I don't know if Amberg took tires the last time he came down pit road, but Ianoshu, Ronnie Norman, and Joey Barrett, everyone on that inside line, at least the first 3 cars, have not been down pit road in 44 laps. And those are the only drivers on anything over, well, at least have come down pit road in the last 20 laps. The rest of the field, about 19 or 20 laps on at least the fuel or fresh tires, including Ethan Amberg, Ryan Newman, and everyone else throughout this field. So depending on tire life and how much these drivers have been pushing it, we saw them get a little squirrely on that inside line each lap. It seemed to get worse and worse. And now in overtime, try and minimize the damage and see if you can make it through this battle of attrition and make it maybe onto a podium position.
Welcome, by the way, for the folks joining us from either the Mystic Racing League, Castle Glass Company Series from Austin, Texas, or the Collegiate Irish League's Formula College race out from Indianapolis to the final laps of our race for the Speed Cup Series at the EchoPark Speedway. It's been a bit of a doozy this afternoon, definitely a race of attrition this afternoon, and the one big thing to note about the 44-lap stints that Ianoshu and Norman are on, over half those laps have been spent under the yellow flag. That gives them a slight edge, at least in the tire department, you'd imagine. Green flag back in the air this afternoon. Hutchinson and Easterday will have to come down pit road this lap to come and make their stop. Same story for David Farella. I know she's out by 2/10, but Amber's looking to close.
I know she got such a big run coming out of the restart that actually the 14 could have maybe thought about a run to get around him, but he's going to help out the 24 there, and the rest of the line is going to stay down low, and that outside line is not going to have any sort of support built up here, at least coming across the stripe this time by.
1 lap left to go, and it is the Beer Street Journal 1 to go here from the EchoPark Speedway. Now, when does Ethan Amberg look to make the move? Cosmo Ianoshu continuing to hold on for the lead, trying to see if he can take win number 7 of his Speed Cup Series career. Ethan Amberg looking left, looking right. He commits up high. Does Ron Norman go low or does he go high? He might try to look for the middle. Ethan Amberg up top of Cosmo Ianoshu, down to the wire, turn number 4. Ianoshu holds on and he wins at the EchoPark Speedway in overtime.
24 took that huge jump at the restart and never looked back. Ianoshu back on top of the podium here in Atlanta at EchoPark And all that being said and done, that 24 Aftermark coffee machine looking pretty as ever compared to the rest of the field.
A big day for Cosmo Anoshu. He now ties himself up for 3rd overall for all-time Speed Cup Series wins, tied with the likes of Christopher Darling with his 73 starts and Robert Anderson with his 20. So a big day for that number 24, and he is getting one step closer to challenging Ryan Shelton for the all-time win record of 18. He'll burn it down to the front straightaway. And the Tiltify Aftermarket, our Aftermarket Coffee Camry will look to celebrate his first win of 2026. Big day for him as well, coming off of a somewhat forgettable run at Daytona where he finished 24 seconds off the leaders back in 19th.
Definitely a good turnaround for the 24, and I think a lot of these drivers also that got a good rebound from last week, if they were able to keep it clean this week. I don't, a lot of it was, making friends and maybe some enemies in the process at Daytona, but that kind of went out the window as long as you kept it clean. And for Cosman, pretty much nothing really battling him in the back half of this race.
We'll take a rundown of your official post-race results here this afternoon. It was a pretty wild ride that we had here today, and it's going to be that number 24 who looks to take home the victory here this afternoon. From there, it's Ronnie Norman coming home number 2, just 600ths off the mark. Ryan Newman finishes this race back in 3rd, Amberg in 4th, and it's Kulikowski and Joey Bear 5th and 6th. Nicholas Coate, Philip Scott, Terrell Wheeler, and Stacy Hunter round out the top 10.
11, it's Munatsi Major, followed by Jordan Fisher, Jason Shue, Scott Leonard, Peyton Tolick, and then Colton Lee, Easter Day, Corey Hutchinson, Jeremiah Vincent, Justin Milillo, and Sean Hughes round out your top 20 here tonight.
Back in the 21st, it's David Farella, Stan Hauser, Sidarius Day, Zachary Cox, and Jeffrey Reed for the top 25. Now we're in the drivers that failed to finish this race with Josiah Vincent, Grant Applegate, Austin, Montembeau, and Blute finishing their races on the hauler. And then, of course, at the tail end, Mark McFadden, Charles Thomas Simmer, Tim Branson, and Kayla Bass, who will close things out for us here this afternoon. A tough break that we had throughout the pack this afternoon. And this field going to be looking set to do it all over again just 1 week from today. But in the meantime, quite the journey that this field took us on here this afternoon. Let's get a rundown and give a chat in here to the top 3 drivers of our race in action here today. And we'll look to kick things off first and foremost with Cosmo Anoshu, the driver that finishes this race number 1. It is his 7th win of his Speed Cup Series career and the first one of 2026. A big turnaround from Daytona where he finished 19th. Cosman, congratulations on finishing first place this afternoon. Talk us through this one because that turned into quite a slugfest there at the end.
Thank you, Nolan. It was definitely interesting. The reason why I was in front was just the 2-tire call in the last pit stop. I figured I had already taken lefts and they looked okay, so I just took rights and hang on to it. There was a few bumps and a few times where Ethan and somebody got right on my spoiler and the rear end got really light and I had to definitely wheel that. But somehow nobody went with Ethan coming off a 4 and we just pulled away and won. I can't believe I'm talking to you guys this early in the season, but I'm very excited about it.
Overall, it was a absolutely fantastic run that you had here this afternoon. What is going to be the goal here for the season? Obviously, you come into this one pretty heavily as a defending champion. Do you plan on still coming out here to defend that title on the regular?
If we have a chance at it, sure. I honestly don't even know the format, if it's win and you're in or not, like it used to be. But points are definitely what I have on my mind usually. If I see a good finish, I will not risk or jeopardize. I will not jeopardize not having a good finish. I was points race basically. This was just, I mean, I was in the lead and nobody could do anything about it, so I just got lucky. And it's redemption for last week where we had a really good run too, but got caught up in the wreck after the yellow.
Well, we'll wish you the best of luck when we go racing at it once again next week at Circuit of the Americas. It's the first road course race of the season. What's your chances on going back-to-back in Austin?
Low, but hopefully we get a top 5. Can I mention quick thank you to Ethan Amberg for the push at the end. Aftermark Coffee Tilt to 5 for everything they do. If you haven't, you can go to aftermarkcoffee.com and put in an order for a pre-order if you want. They're a brand new company, and anything helps.
Well, no need to ask. Congratulations on coming home #1 today and taking your first win of the season and your 7th overall. We'll see you next time out.
Thank you. Have a good time.
Cosmo Nidoshi comes home #1 this afternoon, and from Shake and Bake, it's Ronnie Norman with one of his best career finishes. He finishes 2nd, and Brad, you're standing by with our runner-up.
I'm down here with Ronnie, who finished here 2nd today from EchoPark. And Ronnie, after a 12th place position finish at Daytona, and then starting 12th here today, what were the expectations coming into the race today? Were you expecting podium? Were you expecting to win or just to survive? Because that seemed what it ended up being for a lot of drivers here tonight.
Yeah, I don't really know. I don't really know what to expect coming into these races, honestly. I'm not a big plate guy, so I just come in and try to survive and get the, I'll shoot for a top 10. If I get a top 10, I feel like it's a good day. So coming in here, getting through that one big wreck really got me to the front because I was mirrored in the back all day. So getting up front, getting that track position helped out a ton. So I think I about used up all my 9 lives tonight. So just dodging some wrecks and here and there. So yeah, just didn't really know what to do there on that last lap. I knew I tried to lag back a little bit going down the back straightaway, but it's the front 2 were just so compacted together that they just carried so much speed. And I was going to go to the outside, and then Ethan did it, and I wanted to go with him so bad, but I feel like just protecting the inside was just so important because I just didn't know how that was going to work. Because Ethan even lost 3rd. Like, he didn't get a podium out of that, so I thought that was insane. So just decided to stay behind Cosman. I'm sure Cosman was happy to see me do that. I mean, I guess I helped out a fellow Toyota. So yeah, no, just great points day for us. I can't complain. Got a little bit of scratches on the car from a couple wrecks, but just after the first 2 weeks of plate racing, I just coming out of here being in the top 10 in points is merely what I wanted to do, and I think we accomplished it.
Especially considering, these plate races can be a wild card at times, and that 32 looks pretty fresh compared to the rest of the field here tonight. Taking this momentum of the first 2 races going into Circuit of the Americas next week, what are you feeling? How are you feeling? And, are you ready to try and take on Coda?
Yeah, no, I'm ready to take on it. I'm not a road course ringer by any chance. Definitely do my fair share of GT3 racing here and there, but I know this next gen car is a different animal on road courses. So since last season, I've kind of upgraded the computer system and all that fun stuff. So I'm kind of going back through and trying to relearn some tracks. I wasn't running on high graphics, so I don't know if it'll help me out any going back and learning these tracks and being able to see more, maybe be able to just feel the track a little bit more better. So just mainly getting my braking points down, keeping it clean, because I know as long as you stay maybe slower than usual, but just keep the front end straight on some of these road courses, you can get some good finishes while others have a little bit of trouble. So yeah, like I said, we'll go into next week and hopefully we'll have some speed, but we'll just have to see when we unload.
Before we let you go and celebrate here tonight, Ronnie, is there anyone you'd like to shout out?
Yeah, just thanks to everybody that puts on this league. Second season now, so had fun last season, finished 4th in the championship, so I thought I'd come back and try to see what we can do this year. Shout out to Plant Designs for my paint scheme. Thanks to you guys at Green Flag TV for putting on these broadcasts for us so we can go back and watch work tomorrow. And I want to shout out my teammate 17 to Luck. He did not have the luck I had tonight with dodging wrecks, so he got caught up there and salvaged a 15th or something, I believe. So, you know, 2 poles on the season for him. That's pretty cool, back to back. So he's got some good speed to start out the season as a rookie, and hopefully he can capitalize moving on next week. But yeah, just thanks everybody that tuned in, and we'll see what we can do next week.
Well, congrats again, Ronnie, on the second career Speed Cup Series podium, and we will catch you next week at COTA.
Yep, appreciate you guys.
That was your second place finisher, Ronnie Norman, in the 32. I'm going to send it back up to Nolan here, who I believe should be with our third place finisher if he's in the waiting room.
Yeah, it's going to be Ryan Newman coming home number 3 this afternoon, and it's a huge day for Newman as it is his first ever career podium in Speed Cup Series history. Ryan, this has been a long day coming, and finally you can call yourself a podium finisher here in the Speed Cup Series. How does it feel?
It feels great, Nolan. You know, I made a run at it last week, and things happened. It's, again, I say here we are again. You know, same thing I said in the podcast. It's super speedway racing, but super excited. Ran up there at the top at the start, and then got caught in some stuff, and finessed my way back there to the podium. What a great finish, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
It's, of course, your first podium in almost a year and a half of racing with these guys, and we've been seeing you put together some better and better runs so far. With this being, of course, a huge day for your championship runs here, no doubt, as well, what do you think is going to be the game plan? Because much like I know, it's a huge turnaround after DNFing at Daytona to then come back on podium here. I mean, that's going to help you big time in the points.
Yeah, 100%. You know, it all reflects back to practice. You know, I really dedicating my time and trying to better my racecraft for this league on Thursday nights. And the points are going to be huge. It's frustrating that you lead the most laps at Daytona last week, and then I get wrecked out. And, you know, I get the bonus points, but then to get the podium tonight's going to be a huge advantage. And really just dedicating myself to the league and make sure I show up every Thursday and really practice and put the time in during the week prior to the race. A league that I love to race in and guys that I love to race against.
What do you think your goals are going to be for 2026 as a whole?
Top 10 would be huge. So last year was make top 25 so I can make the first 4 races without having to qualify in. This year would be, hey, if we can make top 10, make playoffs, make a run. I truly feel not only myself, but the other guys with, you know, the Gold Octopus Motorsports team. We're together, we're working, we're talking, and we're consistently, I mean, 7 days a week, we're talking about, you know, the track that's ahead of us for that week. So I really feel that we can make, as a team, we can make a good run.
Well, we wish you the best of luck then when we go racing out here once again. Congratulations on taking number 1, and we will see you next time out for more on Green Flag TV.
Thanks a ton, Nolan. Appreciate you. Have a good night.
That was Ryan Newman coming home number 3 here this afternoon. And Brad, that is going to be it then for us here this afternoon. Overall, a frankly fantastic afternoon of racing, and a long way to go yet in the season, and we are only just getting started.
Absolutely. These restrictor plate tracks provide a lot of action, and it did deserve it tonight here in the Speed Cup Series. Another fantastic finish here to start out the season with a lot of action, but there's still a lot to come.
Still plenty of racing left to be had here on Green Flag TV over the coming days as well. When we go racing once again, it is going to be for the first race of the round of 8 for the Zero Torque Racing League on Friday night. Then on Saturday, the SRA the SRA IEL Truck Series, there we go, heads out to the Homestead Miami Speedway. And then on Sunday, it's the big show, the Cyber 500 at Daytona International Speedway will come on up this Sunday at noon. And then on Monday, it's the Collision Arizona Cup Series at Kansas. High-Tech Race of Action is at Chicagoland. Aspire with their penultimate race of the season from Interlagos. And then the Mid-Atlantic Race Series alongside OMSRL once again on Tuesday. If you want to find out more about who we are and what we can offer you, check us out today at www.greenflag.tv. My name is Little Rempel alongside Brad Danis. Thank you all so much for joining us, and we'll see you all next time out when we go racing once more on Thursday.